I want you to think back to maybe the last time that you rushed to claim the best parking spot, or maybe you set yourself up to get the final slice of pizza or last cupcake. It's almost like we've built these automatic reflexes to, I better grab it before someone else does. And maybe we say, I want it, so I deserve it. In Philippians chapter 2, though, Paul, he wants us to think differently. He urges us not to cling to our own comfort, our own wants, our desires, our status, or convenience, but to instead choose humility. It actually says, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Philippians chapter 2, verse 3. The world, we know it, does this, but the world often says focus on you, me. Our success, our convenience, our goals, our wants, our desires. And the more we chase it, the more we start to realize how that path can leave us unfulfilled. And in fact, Jesus, he steps into history to show us a radically better, a radically more fulfilling way of living. He chose to leave the glories of heaven to walk among us here on earth to show us that better way. Because he didn't just talk about humility, he lived it. He spent his life serving others. He healed the sick. He comforted the outcast. And ultimately, we see him stretch out his arms wide on a cross. We see him demonstrate the greatest act of humility the world has ever seen. God made flesh coming into the world and dying for you and me. And so Paul, he wants to live like this. And so he says he'll gladly be poured out if it meant loving people more like Jesus loved people. Because Paul discovered that real joy comes from serving rather than being served. And so he starts to put others first. And so where does this matter for you and I? Well, I think it matters in the everyday moments. When we're tempted to put ourselves over others. When we'd rather ignore others' needs because it's inconvenient or maybe costly. When we're torn between prioritizing our own comfort or genuinely offering help and making others more significant. There are pivotal choices that we experience each day, each week, each month that show who we're really following, what we're really chasing after. Are we chasing after our own desires? Are we chasing after living like Jesus? And the truth is, when we start to live like him, when we start to live out humility, we become a light in darkness. And the good news is we don't have to do this alone. The same God who humbled himself, who took on flesh, he gives us the strength to do the same for others. He empowers us to live more like him. And so when we choose that downward path of humility, it's actually amazing. We actually find the upward lift of lasting joy. Because that's the power of a humble heart. It lifts up everyone who comes near it, including you. And so your engagement question for today. Where in your life are you most tempted to put others first? And where in your life do you find it easiest to put others first? I'd love for you to go over onto the Church Center app and answer to engage with the church.